Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are. My name is Manish Maud, and I'm the Executive Vice President of Strategy and Business Development at OSG. With me speaking today is our CEO, Dr. R. Sukumar. And the topic we are discussing here today is shaping the trends to identify white space opportunities for revenue growth. A little bit about OSG. OSG is the catalyst for customer-centric growth. It means offering a great experience to your customers from the awareness stage to the entire customer lifecycle to drive customer loyalty, repeat business, and profits. We deliver growth to Fortune 500 clients through superior behavioral and cognitive analytics that help uncover what matters to customer and drive behavioral change to increase growth and revenue for our customers. OSG uniquely combines historical data with future customer needs by going beyond the who and the what and understanding the how and why behind your customer's decision making. OSG has strong academic roots. 70% of strong OSG team have PhDs or masters with advanced qualifications in data science, business management, strategy, and software engineering. OSG is recognized thought leader in the industry, and our work has been published in leading magazines and journals such as Forbes, Harvard Business Review, JMR, and Chief Marketer, just to name the few. We have global presence in 3 continents, having projects delivered in over 25 countries. We have successfully delivered over 800 projects to global Fortune 2000 companies. Before we take a deep dive in identifying white space opportunities, let me set some perspective here. Recently, a large number of our clients have asked me about the topic we are discussing today. The questions are far-ranging. How do we discover and map the white space to what should be our approach and methodology? From our experience in working with successful Fortune 100 companies, we believe managing and improving white space areas can open opportunities, boost innovation, and find new markets from once uncharted territory in an organization. Before we get into the details of how do we discover the white space, let's understand what is white space. White space is where unmet and unarticulated needs are uncovered to create innovation opportunities. The first step in white space mapping process is to determine if you will approach it from an internal or external or future perspective. These are the 3 different lenses to white space mapping. Tackling the white space challenge often requires a dual focus, exploring the intersection of multiple emerging trends and defining how the convergence of 2 or more technologies or capabilities might satisfy powerful latent consumer and our customer needs. One way to begin white space discovery journey is to spot the trends, leveraging the structured and unstructured data that most of the companies have in their organizations. However, the challenge our customer face is there's too much of data, and there is a widespread view that the structured and semi-structured data constitute about 20% of the aggregated data companies have in their data warehouses. The remaining 80% of all that data available is unstructured. And this leads to more problems, as you will see from the research that on the slide here, that 1 in 3 business leaders frequently make decisions based on information they don't trust or don't have. 1 in 2 business leaders say they don't have access to the information they need to do their job. 83% of CIOs cited business intelligence and analytics as a part of their visionary plans to enhance competitiveness. And the most interesting I found was the 60% of CEOs need to do a better job capturing and understanding information rapidly in order to make swift business decisions. So the key is to identify the trends, and then how do you shape the trends to meaningful initiatives and outcome is the key to the success here. Next slide, please. Given the challenge with the data, the social media adds more data and the urgent need to get the actionable insights. Identifying white space can provoke fears and hesitation. In talking to many companies, I have come to the conclusion that they are reluctant to enter any white space because of the unknowns. In talking to some of our other customers in various industry verticals, they say they're afraid that they may cannibalize existing products and services, and some think they may require a different business model altogether. Some also think that identifying a white space and discovering a white space may lead to an extensive system design, redesign, and support, and even to change their business model. At the end of the day, the question comes is, how do we increase profitability? How do I increase my market share? And how do I increase my revenue? And in my experience, identifying white space opportunities necessitates exploration into areas adjacent to but outside your traditional business boundaries. Unconventional approaches are required to uncover these high-value opportunities and to convert them into attractive businesses. Our CEO, Dr. Sukumar, will walk us through the framework that will help you in successfully identifying and strategizing the opportunities and initiatives. Dr. Sukumar.
Thank you, Manish. So, as Manish said earlier on, that executives and corporations find it very difficult and are nervous about making a bad decision. They're nervous about entering into white space opportunities. We at OSG believe that finding the spot to be at in the white space, finding the innovation that is right for which there actually is a need, and creating it, building it, and launching it successfully is not a serendipitous act. It is not an act of God. It can be done using one of OSG's solutions called OSG Innovate. OSG Innovate is an offering that OSG brings forward that is a combination of some very powerful tools that allow you to not only understand where is the gap in the customer journey, what is the gap, what is the solution, why would a customer be interested in leveraging this particular solution to address that particular gap, and how do we size how many customers and how big is the opportunity. OSG Innovate combines a big data platform called Cavi, which creates a 360-degree view on the customers, on your consumers. It also leverages a very powerful technology platform called AceMap that was developed out of Stanford University that helps you understand the behavioral aspects of your customers. What matters to them? Why is it important? Where in their journey can you bring in a new innovation that is likely to fill that void in the white space and help create a breakthrough product or solution? Let us take you through the specific process we follow and then highlight on some of the specific elements of what goes into that process. So the OSG Innovate helps create a multitude or a plethora of white space opportunities, focusing on the very principles of customer centricity, understanding the very specifics of what matters to customers. That process starts out with mapping the journey, understanding the entire process from awareness to consideration to purchase to post-purchase evaluation and reviews, and more specifically begins to leverage various new day tools like AI and machine language in helping look at unstructured data that comes from multiple different sources, whether that be videos of that capture immersion of customers, whether that be ethnography studies, or it simply is a social listening platform that helps us see what consumers or customers are saying about current offerings, the pain that they have, the jobs they have to do, the outcomes they seek, and the constraints that they face. In doing so, in step 3, OSG Innovate begins to identify specific needs, outcomes, constraints, and benefits that fall along the customer's journey, and begins to create a set of inputs, a large number of behavioral triggers that go into our behavioral analytics platform called AceMap. This platform leverages online surveys with communities along with the AceMap gamification platform to get a 360-degree understanding of the customer. We understand not only the who, what, where, when, and how of the customer behavior, but we also understand why. What matters to them, given these new triggers, given these new nudges, what matters to them, how will they like to see it delivered, where do they see specifically new gaps as compared to the consumption of current brands. In doing so, in step 5, we begin to identify innovation corridors on which new white space opportunities can be leveraged. Once these innovation corridors are designed and developed, we go on to the next phase of beginning to test, validate, and size the innovation opportunities using our CAVI platform, which not only integrates all of this data, but also is in a position to continuously bring in new forms of data to help us understand the size and validation of these new white space opportunities. Finally, CAVI as a platform creates a continuous stream of understanding all of that myriads of unstructured data to continue to look for and deliver white space opportunities into successful innovations by repeating the process over time and in real time. So let's take you through some of these steps very quickly. The customer journey map is something that can be done through multiple ways. One approach to doing that is strictly ethnography studies or observational techniques, qualitative research, but it is also able to leverage various kinds of big data information from social listening to trends in order for us to look at and see what a consumer journey is, what are the gaps, what are they doing at every step, and how do we better understand them across the different channels, whether that be digital, whether that be the more traditional channels, whether it be web-based channels. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish at every step? What do we know about them? How often do they hit a particular step in the customer journey? That allows us to then use our CAVI platform to integrate a ton of unstructured data, social listening data, and to leverage tools like IBM Watson to curate this information and begin to enlist a large number of jobs, outcomes, constraints, and as a result of this, benefits that reflect potential areas for new white space opportunities. That is then used in a platform called AceMap, where these large numbers of benefits or these large numbers of outcomes are tested, and through a gamification process, we begin to identify in a very individualized or a personalized basis what are the specific needs that each customer has, which need or benefit is bigger than another, which one is emerging. And we're then able to look at and understand if there are segments of consumers for who a new white space opportunity is meaningful and is likely to bring in the creation of a new innovation. Examples of what this might look like, as you can see on this graph, is a deliverable that shows you a score, and the score is reflective of behaviorally how important is such a potential benefit or a potential outcome to a customer at a particular usage occasion. So we've defined different usage occasions here in a shopper's life in consuming fresh food. So a busy weekday meal, a regular family meal, or celebration meal, flying solo. And we've been able to then identify how important are dimensions that make them feel better, the attributes or benefits that make them feel comfort without a compromise, and so on and so forth. And we're able to see where there are new opportunities emerging for products to be designed and innovations to be launched. AceMap is what we talked about. This is a methodology that was developed out of Stanford University. It allows a consumer to provide us an account of what is in their minds. It allows us to understand what nudges are critical or more meaningful to them and which ones are more important as compared to another. We can leverage 35 to 40, maybe even more than that, of these different attributes, call them outcomes, call them jobs, that these consumers have to do, and these are tested and scores obtained on a real-time basis. With that kind of information, with that kind of personalized, individualized information as against a traditional survey that would tend to ask these questions in a group level, with that kind of individualized, personalized information, we also assess on the new areas or new outcomes and benefits. How are these being delivered by current consumption brands? And through that process, we create a simple 2x2 as what you see out here in the screen. So we identify attributes that are in the green quadrant. The green quadrant suggests attributes that are important, which is the vertical axis. They're more important in driving behavioral change, but they're also unmet because none of the current brands actually deliver them. This would be an area for quick differentiation. This would be an area for identifying innovation corridors or white space opportunities that can be leveraged without having to actually shape the market to believe in its importance. The northwest quadrant, which is the red bucket there, suggests that these are important, but these are already being delivered by other brands. One would argue that these attributes or these benefits, if they're important and being delivered by other brands, are critical to being part of an innovation corridor, but they do not necessarily create differentiation. Put another way, if these attributes are not included in the innovation that you're looking to develop, you may have a problem because they're not satisfying minimum standards. On the other hand, including them does not create an exclusive innovation or an exclusive white space. Finally, an area to shape the market in the future is the blue quadrant, the southwest quadrant, where these are dimensions that are less important today in changing customer behavior, but they're unmet, suggesting that these white space opportunities will create a room for a new innovation out in the market 2, 3, 5 years when the time is right and when the market is appropriately shaped. Moving on, as we discussed, we are in a position to also begin to look at which of these benefits and at what price point and how well are they understood or how well are they looked at as being valuable to each customer and as a result a group. The outcome of this is to be able to understand a simulation through a simulation process how one concept will perform as compared to another concept, another innovation that is likely to be brought to the marketplace. So the end result of this is to be able to design innovation corridors or innovation concepts that are likely to succeed extremely well in the marketplace. In creating these concepts, we then go to a co-creation phase where the community begins to shape up what that product or white space opportunity needs to be, and we begin to receive a further testing and validation and sizing of the opportunities. Through CAVI, we are in a position to understand who will buy, where will they buy this from, when will they buy, and how much would their willingness to pay likely be. And finally, through the creation of multiple innovative products, we're in a position to understand what volumetric contributions these innovations will have to offer, and the ability to bring these new innovations to the marketplace now requires final engineering or R&D development of that product and a great marketing team to execute on a strategy that is designed on the value that that particular concept has to offer to the marketplace. Innovation can be made a continuous process by leveraging CAVI and the communities that CAVI is able to reach out and test additional new ideas and bring all of these forward into a continuous stream of process, which starts with looking at unstructured data, identifying new signals, testing those signals through the behavioral analytics platform called AceMap, identifying and sizing the innovation corridors, and then finally beginning to bring those innovations to the market on a continuous basis. So with that, let me take a few minutes to set up a simple case study of a consumer packaged goods company looking to create a portfolio of innovations in this white space opportunity. Being in the grocery business and having seen many new products fail over time, This company wanted to improve its batting average, if you want to call it that, by addressing white space opportunities and bringing innovations to the market that are far more successful. They approached OSG to conduct a OSG Innovate engagement with them, which started with understanding the grocery business, particularly the produce business, which is where they were, both fresh vegetables, frozen vegetables, canned vegetables, as well as fruits in each one of those areas. By looking at unstructured data, social media listening data, by looking at ethnography on how consumers shop and how they react to these different products, we took it to the next level of beginning to identify those benefit statements and jobs outcomes that were important to these customers. With a list of over 40 of these statements, we leveraged AceMap to identify how important these were and how likely they would be to change customer behaviors. We also looked at what products are beginning to deliver and where the gaps are in some of these um, benefits and outcomes before we started to create specific innovation products that took on the shape of certain themes like healthy origins, natural goodness, frozen basics, and so on, and began to help us understand where new products could be brought to the market to create white space opportunities, address white space opportunities. The company went on to develop two new products and launched it immediately that had very specific healthy themes in them in the frozen produce section, and successfully launched both of these to hit numbers of trial and repeat that far exceeded what their initial forecast suggested. Their claim was that they now had a pipeline or a plethora of products to bring to the marketplace based on the work that they did with OSG and the continuous innovation platform that they have now developed, allowing them to see the trends in the marketplace, look at and see how they are changing, shape those trends, identify new white space opportunities that they could bring in new products and solutions to the marketplace, and as a result, create products and solutions that address the consumer need and be able to be very successful at their batting average as against the more traditional approach where their failure rate was in excess of 85%. So with that, let me leave you with a restatement of the process that OSG follows in OSG Innovate. It starts with mapping the customer journey. It looks at understanding customer immersions and unstructured data, creates the necessary deep understanding of new jobs, new outcomes that are not being addressed by current products, quantifies the impact on the mind of the customer, on the behaviors of the customers using AceMap, moves on to assess the gaps that exist, creates innovation corridors, and begins to look at sizing and validating and quantifying the volumetric gain from new innovations that address these white space opportunities. Deploying CAVI starts at that point to make this a continuous process to look for white space opportunities, to shape these trends, and bring to the marketplace successful new innovations with a much higher batting average than that has ever been before in the consumer goods world. With that, let me turn it over to you, Manish.
Thank you, Dr. Sukumar. We have a few questions from the audience here. And the first question is, what are some sources of data that your platform can handle? Do you use API management tools?
Great. That's a great question, Manish. Our platform can handle pretty much all different forms of data. These can be, we source today data from companies like Mintel, where global new product development trends are captured across the world, information on new chocolates, new produce, new grocery items, new um, uh, products in every sector of consumer packaged goods and consumer goods is obtained. And a lot of this information is very unstructured. They come in the form of news items, they come in the form of an analyst report, they come in the form of social big data from social media. We are in a position to bring all of this information into our platform and allow for our NLP and NLC tools to begin to conduct machine learning and deep machine learning on this data to then identify what I would label as jobs outcomes and specific benefit statements that consumers are looking for that are not currently available in existing products and brands. We have very solid API management tools on Cavi that allows us to source data from not only new data sources, but also from legacy data sources. Obviously, the system already has certain relationships and partnerships with data sources, but new ones can always be added on an ongoing basis with appropriate relationships with those partners.
Great, Dr. Sukumar. That's a very good answer. There is one more question here. I'm just looking at the watch here. What is the size of these trends and new innovations, and how can you measure the size of these trends and new innovations?
Well, the size of new innovations, depending on how you understand this, the market definition, can vary. For example, we just recently disrupted a market for a certain kind of medical device and created an altogether new marketplace that was valued at $150 million, a market that did not exist because we were now addressing a new innovation, a new product coming into the marketplace that was first to market because we were able to identify a white space opportunity and create a trend. That's one example where there's complete disruption. At other times, it's no longer a big disruption, but the white space opportunity address may simply be an incremental innovation. An incremental innovation in a consumer packaged goods world, for example, what I was talking about earlier in in frozen produce, could be as little as $30 million or as much as $300 million. The size depends on how big an unmet need you are addressing and whether the product can be brought to market in a very simple manner, whether the product can show clear differentiation from existing products, addresses a need, is compatible with consumption today, is not very complex, and the benefits are easily observable. Depending on how big each one of these factors are, the overall size and value of the white space opportunity can grow over time, depending on what needs it's beginning to address. I hope I answered your question, Manish.
You did, Dr. Sukumar. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing the framework, and I'm sure this will be very helpful to our audiences in successfully identifying and strategizing the opportunities and initiatives. Thank you for your time. For those who are listening in, the webinar and the presentation is available on our website at osganalytics.com. My contact information is right here for you. You can reach me directly on my mobile phone at 214-929-0010, or you can write me at manish.mode@osganalytics.com. Thank you for your time and have a great day.